is just as much a staple of American democracy as voting itself.
What could I possibly need? I am an American citizen.
Yeah, what could we possibly want?
You're good.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure, you're good.
Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, really, you're fine.
Okay.
And I'm gonna need you to fill this out. Don't forget your pen. With the passage of the 15th Amendment in 1870, the federal government was prohibited from denying anybody the right to vote based on race, color, or previous servitude. But not one to be taken down by the government that they lost to, the southern states came up with their own version of laws that they called Jim Crow laws. And they targeted, guess what? Voting. One of these ways in which they targeted voting was the poll tax. This was a minor fee that had to be paid in order to vote. Obviously, many slaves at the time didn't really make any money, didn't have any money, or have anything to speak of.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna get out of here. Hey, I'll see you back at the house. Good luck with that, bro.
So they couldn't vote. But what about those poor whites, you ask? Well, as long as they had an ancestor that fought in the Civil War, they were grandfathered in. They didn't have to worry about it just one bit. Lucky them!
So finally, I'm done. I'm educated. So, can I vote now since I can write?
Do you have an ID, sir? In addition to the poll tax, literacy tests were also used to disenfranchise black voters, as literacy rates were way behind those of whites in the 1940s. And one of the big problems with literacy tests is that they were applied so unevenly amongst everybody, varying degrees of difficulty given to different races. In some examples, there have been uneducated poor white kids that have passed, whereas college-educated blacks have failed. So, how are the politicians suppressing your vote now, you ask? A thing called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is the redrawing of political districts for partisan gain. Now, partisan gain and voter suppression can be two sides of the same coin if you're not careful. People have used this in the past now to draw districts to keep minorities in one area so that they can keep from gaining political power and influence. A major point of contention in American politics has been ID laws. Different states have different specifications for the kind of identification that is acceptable at the polling booth. For example, in Texas, up until 2016, a concealed carry permit or military ID was acceptable, but not a university-issued ID card. Now, why would that be? Other tactics that can be used are voter purging. For example, in Georgia, 2008, over 98,000 registered voters were expelled from the roll call, mostly due to computer discrepancies on identification information. By the time of the election, over 4,500 people had to prove their citizenship just to regain their ability to vote.
Hey man, now I got the ID now.
Yeah, it checks out.
Alright.
Except for, we're closed at this one now. So if you want to go to the next polling place, you gotta go about 12 miles down the road, and you got about 3 minutes to get there, man.
Alright, thanks.
Your ability to vote is one of the pillars holding up this monument of experimental ideas that is American democracy. It is something the country prides itself on. Some vote to make America great again, some vote to keep America great, and some vote in order to help America achieve the potential of greatness. But make no mistake that it is your fundamental right, and nobody can tell you that your choice is wrong. You have the right not to be left out. Make your voice heard, and in suffering through suffrage, defeat suppression with expression, and know that you have a choice to have a voice, because it cannot be we the people if it's not by the people, for the people.